So I just wanted to do a very short video on tongue tie. Tongue tie is really prevalent. It's something that we see more and more and more. And whether that's because more babies are tongue-tied or just that we're discovering it more, either way, if your baby is tongue-tied, it is really rough for both of you. It massively affects feeding, therefore baby being happy because they're not fed. Your breasts will get incredibly painful. The baby could have weight issues, and the list just goes on, and it's so intense. I've had so many friends and so many mums I support have to deal with tongue tie, and it is rough, it is brutal. So something I think could help is, one, asking if your baby's tongue tied very soon after birth. But there is an issue with this. Lots of doctors, paediatricians and midwives are not trained to assess a full tongue tie. So what they often look for is, you can get this line between the tip of your tongue around here at the top to the base of your mouth. So, and it's a very obvious line, okay? And that's what they think of when they think of tongue tie. They can see it, so yes or no. Baby has tongue tie, baby doesn't. There are also lip ties, which are up here, which if you've got a big piece of skin here, that can affect how they latch on the breast. So you've got that issue, which again is never really looked for at all. And the big one that is usually missed because it isn't obvious is posterior tongue tie. So this is anterior at the front, can be quite obvious, you can see it. Posterior is when the tongue at the back is really fused down to the mouth, the base of the mouth. And it's much harder to see because it's just a thicker piece of skin that comes much further forward than it should. So they will look for the obvious, they will check fairly quickly because that's how they're trained. So again, even if you get, no, my baby's not tongue-tied, but you feel something is up, then you follow that. You follow your instinct, and I would suggest getting a lactation consultant round to assess, and often they can snip or they can refer you to someone who can. There's also discussion about whether a tongue tie should be snipped at all, because sometimes it can be worked around with different latching techniques and positions. So it's not necessarily something that has to be dealt with in that way, but knowing about it will save you and baby a lot of time. And I think it's something that needs to be found quickly, because often it is misdiagnosed and it goes on for weeks and weeks, and the mum feels like she's getting everything wrong, the baby's not, feeding as well, the baby's unsettled, and it's just a nightmare, and it's so hard. So if it is tongue tie, you suspect tongue tie, deal with it fast. Get a lactation consultant round. They're roughly £100 depending on where you are in your area. It may sound like a lot, but it can save you weeks of heartache. It can save your breastfeeding relationship to get some one-on-one time with someone who knows what they're really genuinely talking about. And just for you as a mum, there's 3 ways you can test. I did a course with Kate Rosati, who is a tongue tie specialist near me in Surrey. Amazing woman. And there were 3 ways you can kind of check yourself, just to get, a bit of a heads up if there may be an issue. So the first is extension. So can your baby do this? Okay, can they stick their tongue out? Because tongue-tie babies are often restricted in how far they can stick their tongue out. They'll get caught. They can't go that far. And if they can't extend, they can't get to the breast in the same way. Okay, so can they extend? The other one is elevation. So can they lift their tongue to the roof of their mouth? Can they touch their tongue to the roof of their mouth? Is their tongue moving up and down, basically? Or again, is it being pulled down by some kind of restriction? The third one is lateralization. So if you rubbed your finger along their tongue, can they follow it? Could they do that? With the sensation? And if they get this, and if they're feeling that sensation, can they reach it? Can they follow? Or again, is it just poking out? Is it restricted? So you can kind of self-assess for any kind of restriction and then follow it up. But this is something that can be just so hard on your early relationship with your baby. So yeah, hopefully that will help.